Hi and welcome to the Free For All pod with me, Rob Fludder. As the title suggests, this is a total free-for-all with no set subject or genre, just a light-hearted and fun podcast in which I encourage listener interaction and at times special guests. Wherever you're listening, just relax and let's get into the episode. Hi and welcome to episode 3 of the FIFA World Cup at the Free For All pod with me, Rob Fludder. Welcome along. I hope that you're enjoying the World Cup so far. The group games have now finished and I'm going to review all of those group games, who are the winners, the runners-up, the shock results that we've seen are plenty, and then we preview really the knockout stages. I think it's fair to say the controversy has been well and truly left behind. And in fairness to Qatar, they've hosted a really good World Cup so far. I think the pitches have been absolutely fantastic. The fans have been amazing. So much noise and so much interaction. And just maybe that alcohol ban has really added to this, because fans have interacted. There have been opposition fans sat next to each other, with lots of singing, lots of chanting, and it just seems a really good atmosphere out there. I think my reservations that I put forward in the last episode about the refereeing not really gone away, but has anybody noticed that the referees have got the names on the back of their shirts? Now, it's only small, it's only minor, but in this year's World Cup, the referees have got their names on the back of their shirts. Now, I do hope we don't go any further in that step and putting numbers on the back of a referee shirt. Not that I can think of one good reason why you'll have a number. But those egotistic referees are getting the names on the back of their shirts. I can't see too many sales with Michael Oliver on the back of a referee shirt, to be honest with you. But they're coming to the forefront nonetheless, aren't they, those officials? And fair play to them. But let's get into the episode reel. I want to review the group stages. Like I said, who's progressed, who's come runners up. Let's talk about those shocks, and let's preview the knockout stages, shall we? Well, let's start in Group A, so let's go in alphabetical order. So Group A, Holland and Senegal qualify with Holland as group winners. Host Qatar finished bottom of the group with 0 wins from 3 games. Really disappointing for Qatar. Senegal playing Group B winners, England in the last 16 and Holland playing USA as their reward for becoming first and second in that group. In Group B, no real shocks here. England top the group ahead of second place USA. In this group, with Wales finishing a disappointing bottom with just the 1 point. So Robert Page and the boys, unfortunately, not really turning it on at the World Cup. In Group C, we had Argentina top the group, and they will play Group D runners-up Australia in the last 16, whilst Poland had to enjoy a nervy wait in the Mexico-Saudi Arabia game, whereby at one point Mexico were going through ahead of Poland. Lewandowski lives to play another game. In Group D, many people's fancies France. They topped the group on goal difference despite a final game defeat to Tunisia. No one saw that one coming, with Australia quietly finishing the group as runners-up. Denmark will be disappointed with finishing bottom on 1 point, and France get to play Group C runners-up Poland. A real battle of the strikers there in Mbappe and Lewandowski. In Group E, the twists and turns and shock results were aplenty in this group. Firstly, Japan beating 4-time winners Germany, and a young Spanish side putting 7 past Costa Rica in their first games. Costa Rica then went on to beat Japan in Game 2. The shocks and drama didn't stop there, with a final group game seeing all 4 nations having the possibility of qualifying, and at one point the possibility of Japan and Costa Rica qualifying ahead of Spain and Germany. That was very real. Events changed eventually when Germany beating Costa Rica 4-2, but this was all in vain as Japan beat Spain 2-1 with a controversial goal sending the Germans home at the group stages on goal difference. Who would have thought that? Germany going home? Definitely not me. Japan topped the group with their reward in the last 16 playing Croatia. What a dramatic group. No one saw this coming, and let's be honest, Germany have always been synonymous with World Cup tournament football. Real shock to see them going home. In Group F, well, it also saw its fair share of drama. Firstly, with Morocco beating widely fancied Belgium in Game 2. Belgium, with its golden generation, they were toothless despite the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Lukaku featuring. Morocco not only beat Belgium, but they topped the group with Croatia finishing runners-up, thus sending the Belgians home, and Roberto Martinez resigned as head coach shortly after the final game. Canada finished bottom with 0 points despite some attractive attacking football. In Group G, tournament favourites and most people's second team, Brazil, topped the group despite the final game defeat to Cameroon. Brazil's superstar Neymar has yet to feature in a tournament, and, well, he's featured but not really set it alight, and he suffered an ankle injury in that first game. Cameroon, of course, most famous for their ex-greats Roger Milla and more recently Samuel Eto'o, the latter playing for European giants Barcelona and Inter Milan respectively, as well as Premier League clubs Chelsea and Everton. Switzerland finished runners-up and progressed to the knockouts rounds, with their next opponents being Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal. And fair play to the Swiss, because they've actually gone about this tournament very, very quietly. No one really fancied them. A real togetherness in that squad, and fair play, they've gone through and get a good crack at a Portugal side with an aging Ronaldo, a little bit of an aging midfield there with Carvalho in that centre. You've got Pepe at the back again, aging. So I think Switzerland will fancy their chances of getting in and around the Portuguese. In Group H, well, whenever Cristiano Ronaldo is in town, there's always a high level of focus and drama. Game of the group was a tipsy-turvy encounter between Portugal and Ghana, with Portugal holding out for a 3-2 win. South Korea were the surprise of the group, finishing runners-up on goal difference, therefore knocking out Uruguay's squad, with the likes of Luis Suarez, Edison Cavani and Darwin Núñez. South Korea's second-place finish has earned them a knockout game against the mighty Brazil, whilst Portugal play Group G runners-up Switzerland. I think it's fair to say South Korea have got nothing to lose in that game against Brazil. You know, they should go out, enjoy it, play the best football they can, and if they get beat, it was expected, and nobody will argue against that. But if they turn the Brazilians over, wow, what a moment for South Korea. And adding to that Asian contingent, Japan, what a World Cup they've had. You know, they beat Germany, they've beat Spain, they've topped the group. They've got some real quality and in-depth. You know, they were able to bring a few players off the bench and doing fantastically well. And if we look at the African contingent, Morocco topping their group, Senegal going through, Cameroon missing out. But you know, if I was to look at the African teams, I really did fancy Ghana to go through ahead of any of those. So no, fair play to Morocco and fair play to Senegal. But the European contingent, obviously England leading the way there, not losing a game so far, scoring a good few goals within that. I know there was that 0-0 draw against USA, but Southgate and his boys will be quietly confident, as will France. You know, there's always ups and downs with France. Consistency in any of their sports is always the issue with them, whether that's football, whether it's rugby, but their squad looks absolutely unbelievable despite Benzema not being able to make it through injury. But let's be honest, Mbappe, what a player, and that forward line would scare anybody in any game. South American contingent, well, you can't look any further than the Brazilians. I think it's fair to say in the final group game, they put out their second string with Dani Alves coming on captaining at the ripe old age of about 147. Still going strong, but they didn't look too threatening. But again, a little bit like the Germans, Brazil usually warm up as the tournament progresses, and don't write them off. You know, they can really turn it on, and they got some absolute stars in that squad. With two world-class goalkeepers, you've got Thiago Silva at the back, you've got Casemiro in midfield, you've got Neymar when he wants to turn it on. A real squad going on there. And Argentina with in my opinion, greatest player in his generation is Lionel Messi. There's always an argument between Messi and Ronaldo, and it's a flip of a coin, who's better. But when you watch Messi nowadays, he doesn't get about the pitch quite as much. He doesn't take, too many dribbles on. But when he does come to life, the crowd, you can just feel it, and he makes things happen. And I think it's written in the stars. Everybody's talking about this potential 1,000th game of his career for Lionel Messi would be the World Cup final. So, what a moment, what a player. And I suppose if he wasn't to win the World Cup, I would say, and again, there is the argument between him and Ronaldo, but probably the best player never to win the World Cup. When you look at the likes of Pele, a great player, won 3 World Cups, to see Messi not win a World Cup would be really disappointing. But some great group games there, plenty of shot results and exits during this year's World Cup, with some of the outside nations gaining hope, with the likes of Germany and Belgium failing at the group stage. No one would have sworn those two teams going home, and it's to be honest with you, to see the Germans go out, as much as we can laugh as an Englishman, it just doesn't feel right. The Germans are synonymous with tournament football, being at the World Cup. But I think it's fair to say they haven't got a superstar this year. They haven't got Lothar Matthäus, they haven't got Jurgen Klinsmann, they haven't got an Oliver Bierhoff, they haven't got an Ozil, they haven't got a Klose, they haven't got Oliver Kahn, they've got Manuel Neuer. But so I suppose they're just in that rebuild generation. But because of this, just watch out for them in the next 4 years. So at the next World Cup, they will come strong. But no one saw them going out. Belgium, flattered to deceive, just a little bit. I think they've got great individual players, but just can't pull it on as a cohesive team. And Lukaku spearheading that attack, but really not delivering when it matters. And Roberto Martinez going great guns, but I think it was the right thing to do to resign at the end of that. It was a failure on their part. They had every opportunity to get through a group they were fancied in, and with the players they got, they really should have done. So that just gives confidence to the likes of, widely fancied Brazil, Argentina and France. England, you would say, would feel really confident. Their next game, in the knockout stages, relatively, that if they could have picked a team, they'd probably picked a team such as Senegal. There's a real opportunity for England to get through to the latter stages, to the quarters and semi-finals. So they'll be feeling confident right now, and you can understand why. But this weekend proves to be a pivotal in determining who will feature in the quarterfinals of the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. No one knows what's going to happen. There's been so many shock results, but you would expect to see the likes of England, Brazil, Argentina and France come through those games relatively unscathed and get into the quarterfinals where, the best of the best really play each other. Well, thanks for listening. I look forward to updating you all with the progress of the first knockout stages and who will reach the quarterfinals. It's been an exhilarating World Cup so far. Some controversy that seems to have gone away. Some real weird timings watching football at 10 o'clock in the morning. I can't say I've had that opportunity really of being at work, but it's been great nonetheless. And again, fair play to Qatar. I think that they've put on a great World Cup, to be fair to them. And I look forward to watching the next round. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to support the podcast, please subscribe, leave a rating and a review. If you would like to be part of the podcast, or you'd like me to cover a specific subject, then do contact me on Instagram at freeforallpod, on Twitter at freeforallpod, or email me at freeforallpod@gmail.com. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.